Hello and welcome to Gemcast. Most people are not going to be familiar with Imbono. What is that business within the group? What does it do?
Imbono is transforming capital into reality. We have energy, we have water, we have sourcing, we have infrastructure. We develop the capabilities in all of these fronts.
Is that really what we bring that's special, which is this originate to operate?
This is the first phase. The next phase is to make sure that these assets, when delivered, they will be sustainable operating. We hire 1 year before. We invest in the capabilities. We have more than 20,000 hours of training just last year. They will benefit more than 12 million people.
Wow. What's the goal? What's the mission? What do you want to achieve?
The vision is...
Hello and welcome to Gemcast. Today I'm joined by Marcus Weyll, CEO of Imbono, part of the Gemcorp group. And we're going to be talking about development, infrastructure and operating in the emerging world. So welcome to Gemcast.
Hey Tom, thank you very much.
I think at the start, before we started, you said this was your first podcast. So
it's my first podcast ever.
Wow.
And I'm not that old, huh?
Yeah, you're definitely not that old. You're like, just a year or two older than me. So we start with the same question every time we do Gemcast. Tell me a little bit about how you got to this role that you hold within Gemcorp and your passion for emerging markets.
My passion for emerging market comes from since I'm born, right? I'm Brazilian.
Okay.
So I'm born and raised in emerging market.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think I have any experience outside emerging market.
Okay.
My whole career was based on emerging market. So I live in many countries in Latin America.
Yep.
Then long time living in Africa. For the past 15 years, I've been living experience on the ground in Africa with my family.
Yeah.
Right? So the passion comes from there. It's actually where I see the challenges are from the road and also the solutions for the roads. It will come from emerging markets.
Yep.
I began my career very young. In Brazil, we have the culture to work while we are studying.
Okay.
So since my first half experience, first semester of the university, I was already working in logistics.
Okay.
At the port.
Yeah.
As a trainee. Then I moved to the financial market. So still in the university as a trainee, I work in Bank Boston, Bank of America, BNP Paribas. Spend a little bit, probably 12, 15 years in banks.
Yeah.
And then I moved to the infrastructure sector, where actually I live in Africa. So some bank just pick me and say, no, you like the free infrastructure, you like development, so this is your place.
Awesome.
So I worked developing many projects, PPPs, BOTs, roads, airports, water sanitation, energy. So I've been working with that for the past 20 years. Right. I said accumulating, starting with the banks on structuring, on investment bank and infrastructure, then move to the sector. So I have more than 20 years working in infrastructure development for emerging market. After that, it was funny. I got the conversation to beginning with Gemcorp, actually. I was talking to Gemcorp, maybe open an initiative in Brazil, what would be interest to have some seed money coming from Gemcorp.
Yeah.
And then some of the founders of Gemcorp, right? Felipe and Nathan, I said, no. You're going to see our business here. Come and join us. So it was funny. It was a moment in my life that I was trying to be entrepreneur. And then I came to Gemcorp, where I was actually entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So it was amazing because I could actually do two things that I love, right? I come back to Africa. At the moment, I was in Brazil. So I was come to Gemcorp to develop the business in Africa. And I could actually be much more creative on the entrepreneurship that I was looking and bring a lot of more business. And the funny thing was, Felipe probably remembered that. It was, Marcos, I'm confused here. Human resources are saying that you want to move to Luanda and not to London. I said, what? What I'm going to be doing in London? You guys asked me to develop business in Africa. Why I'm going to be based in London?
Yeah.
So I don't know why you were surprised that I'm actually moving and asked to move to Luanda. I said, oh yes, no, just a question because it was a little bit weird. We were expecting you to come to London. I said, no, don't worry, I'll be very well based in Luanda. So I'm okay there, right? So don't move it. And then we decided, and the rest is history, right?
Yeah.
6 years now in Gemcorp, 5 years, sorry, in Gemcorp. But for me, it's like a lifetime. It's my family.
Awesome. Well, that is a great story and tons of stuff that we can dive into as we kind of talk today. So you're interesting to talk about entrepreneurship because you are the CEO of Imbono. So that's what you mean. You can sort of have a chance to sort of spread your wings and operate an entity within the group. But tell us, like, most people are not going to be familiar with Imbono. What is that business within the group? What does it do? And what's your role within it as the CEO? Like, how do you operate?
I think Imbono is a maturity of Gemcorp, right? It's the way that Gemcorp grows since the beginning.
Yeah.
So we started since the beginning I was not here in the beginning, but of course I know the history and I know the challenge, to face the challenge and how to overcome the challenge of emerging market. On the beginning, we started with private credit. So the emerging market needs private credit to develop, definitely. Then we saw that only private credit will not fix actually the challenge that we have in the emerging market. They have a lot of trade financing issues. They have a lot of commodities issues. They have a lot of importation. So we need to fix something that work alongside of this structure. And then we move for a structure that we used to call GCT, but our commodities and trading yards. Right?
Or Gemcorp ICS.
Gemcorp ICS
or
Gemcorp ICS later on. But Gemcorp ICS was the next step
of
the evolution. Yes.
Got you.
Why? Because then we saw that only trading will not actually develop and create more opportunities on the emerging market.
Because GCT was just a commodity trader.
Commodity and trading, right?
Okay.
So and then when we decided to consolidate ICS was an evolution of our business model.
Yeah.
Say, if we really want to go deep and fix the challenge and bring opportunities and bring to the road what's the actually capabilities and what's actually the solutions that the emerging market bring to the road, we need to give the step forward.
Yeah.
And that step forward is being an operating arms where we work as investor and operator.
Yep.
So we understand the infrastructure, we build the solution, and we bridge this solution between the capital availability and the execution capability. Right? So this is the whole concept of where Imbono brings to the emerging market.
Okay.
And my role to Imbono as a CEO is just giving the vision, giving the guidance, the strategy, and work close to the team so we can execute. Yes, we are very entrepreneurship, but we need to be focused in the segments that we already have our core capabilities. So we have energy, we have water, we have sourcing, we have infrastructure. Inside energy, we have power, we have oil and gas, we have the commodity. So we develop the capabilities in all of these fronts.
Yeah.
And guys, if you guys are listening to that, if I forgot some of the business unit, I care for everyone, right? So just to be sure. So, but we develop the capabilities for every single asset that we own. So we don't invest to work as a mere investor.
Yeah.
We invest where we can empower with our capability to operate and to actually deliver.
Yeah.
So Imbono is transforming capital into reality.
So the genesis of it is really that, Gemcorp Capital was a fund. The realization was the fund wasn't enough, so we needed to do commodities trading. Commodities trading wasn't enough, so we wanted to do a bit more operations. And then suddenly we realized that there's a broad range of operations, a broad geography. And so the final step then from ICS to Imbono is then being, we've got this platform that really brings a full set of operational capabilities and execution and management to EM.
Exactly. And this is the bridge. Can you imagine? You bridge the client needs on the ground.
Yeah.
With the investors' international standards. And we are the bridge for that. The international investors, they have money.
Yeah.
They are available to deploy. The clients have needs. We cannot go to emerging markets, especially Africa, just to sitting 6,000, 10,000 kilometers and imagine what they need. Right? We need to live their reality.
Yeah.
And we know that's why in emerging market, only 10% of the projects get to financial completion. 77% of the project are not in the completion.
Why does that happen then?
It's exactly because of this lack of alignment between those who develop the projects and they do implement it, and those who actually have the credit. If you don't have someone to bridge that and to monitor and to make sure that the project have the design ready, that the project have the studies ready, the social, environmental studies, the impact with the communities, the progress of the project, supervising, making sure that the scope that's there, the quality that's there is already, it's actually what we're delivering. You have the CPs blocks that you have in the traditional financing. So our work on the infrastructure, technical and financial coordination of these projects is what put ourselves in a very different situation. And that's why every project that Imbono and Gemcorp Group touch, we achieve completion.
But why does that happen? I mean, I'm going to challenge you back. I'm going to say, but you've listed off a bunch of things. This is kind of well known. Like, why does that occur? Surely there is the right skills. There's, I know capital is hard to come by, but there is capital to do some of these projects. Like, why are they failing? Why are 7% failing?
It's a very good question, right? Why? First, because the capital that you don't have a supervision role on the emerging market. Mm-hmm. So investors speak with the economic part of the public client. Yeah. So they speak with ministers of finance, they speak with TFIs, they speak with the economic part. Yeah. Projects are executed by the infrastructure and the real economic part of the government. Ministers of energy, ministers of mining, ministers of transport, ministers of constructions, even governors. And these are managed by design companies, construction company, or industrial investors. There is a huge gap on what are the construction needs, the infrastructure needs for the projects, and what are the standards that are necessary for Minister of Finance to execute this financing. This bridge need to be covered. There's a gap there. Yeah. So you need to have care of all the technical expertise that you need to accomplish on the on the financing side needs to be delivered on the ground. The teams doesn't have the financing doesn't have the teams on the ground. The inspections normally hired to supervise these guys is looking to the construction side from the real thing side, and nobody's looking how can you communicate the construction contract execution with the financing contract standards.
Right.
And that's not only that. When you hire a project, you have several interfaces in the project. You have constructions, you have design, you have inspections, you have 2-3 different kind of constructions, and you have the operating side. Someone need to coordinate all of this, so you can have a really good orchestra playing. And this is what we do. We bridge this gap. So we understand what are the standards that international are doing, especially on the social and environmental development and what they need to do to design. And we understand the boots on the ground. And why this happen? In the emerging market, different from several developing countries, the projects, every single investment need infrastructure. There is no such a thing of you look into specific investors that you don't need to build something. Yeah. And beyond your own responsibility of build, you need to make sure that you have road, that you have energy, that you have water. So you cannot talk about development without infrastructure. Yeah. But the infrastructure side in emerging market, they have their own realities. They need to deliver. So normally when they go to hire an EPC contract, they don't have the design done. They do it with conceptual design. So this is the planning. So, and where we grab that, we bridge the solution until they have the final design. And then the construction company is actually suitable and packed in a way that they can attend the requirements of the financing. But this is why, because we start since the beginning and monitoring and making sure that this coordination is happening.
So the why is a little bit about technical competency, fragmentation, lack of communication, people not being on the ground. And the how, which is what Imbono do, is really to connect that. You know,
Yes.
there's like an American term, the soup to nuts. Is that really what we bring that's special, which is this originate to operate and everything that sits in between, from financing, structuring, executing. We do the whole lot. And that is what means that the 77% on our projects is zero because we deliver.
That's exactly, we bridge all of this end-to-end solution.
Got it.
But this is the first phase. The next phase is to make sure that these assets, when delivered, they will be sustainable operating, right? Why? Another statistic for you. I know that you like statistics. 60% of all utilities in emerging market is operating below their nominal capacity.
Wow.
And why? Lack of maintenance, lack of people capable to operate.
All of that effort goes into raising these projects. 77% of them fail. Then the 10% that work, 60%,
They don't fail. They have
they just don't get
cost overrun,
executed. Yeah, fine.
a schedule
Okay,
overrun,
fine.
right?
And
They don't fail.
And of the ones that get delivered though, right? 60% of them then don't even operate at capacity.
Yes. I'm telling about energy and water,
Yeah.
and this statistic is specific for Africa.
Okay,
not for
fine,
the
Africa, right.
Yes. And that's where we bridge. So the first phase is to deliver. And then we have, this is our infrastructure side. And then we have our operating entities, energy, water, logistic, that goes and say, okay, now that's ready. I'm going to make it happen. And you're going to have 100% with international quality standards.
Right.
So we deliver our water to international quality standards 24 hours per 7. We deliver energy same way. So that's our business. Not only make sure that we deliver the completion of the construction, but after that we operate.
And is that part of that operational thing? Because sometimes I hear these stories about maybe certain countries or investors that come, and it's normally in Africa, come sort of build something and then leave. So they literally fly in the staff, fly in the people, do the project, and then all those people leave again. And then I guess the people kind of, the keys get tossed to the government or the local population and say, off you go and run it. Does that happen, or is that?
I hope that they continue doing that, because more space for us, right?
Okay, good.
So that's exactly what we cover, because we are there. So let's remember, we have 536 people in the ground in those countries.
Yeah.
So plus the 10,000 people that we actually supervise.
Who are working inside the project.
Working inside our projects.
Wow.
So I hope that they continue doing that. It's more opportunity for us.
A big part of that's got to be social impact then, right? Because you're creating local jobs, training local people. How do you go about doing that? I mean, without being, kind of too mean, like if you're operating an asset, and sometimes these infrastructure projects, maybe specifically in Africa, in fact, probably across EM, end up being in typically remote locations. Maybe if it's a hydro plant or maybe an oil refinery, like, is there, maybe there isn't a, large local populace, maybe don't have the right skills, education systems are slightly underdeveloped. How do we go about building that competency and building something to last?
This is something that it's one of the main pillar of our business model, like our integration with the community. Okay. Because we are there, because we are living there, we understand the needs and the potential. Right? You mentioned Africa. If we, as investor, as a road, don't look to Africa as a potential of young population to become our manpower force for the next year. And I'm not telling about hard work, I'm telling about also intellectual work.
Yeah.
It won't work. By 2050, 30% of the youth population will be living in Africa. So how are we going to manage that? Energy transition. So living in this environment, we understand their capabilities and their needs. We cannot go with a colony view. We need to go with a development view. So I will give you a specific example of what you mentioned and why we can be integrating. Our Cabinda refinery. It's built in a province that it's far from the region in Angola, that the economic center of Angola.
Yeah.
Right? It's based in Cabinda in the north of Angola. First refinery built in the country after the independence. So they have one refinery in the country. This was the first one built after the independence. So they don't have the manpower that's used to operate a refinery. So what we do is, instead of hiring the people, when we have the startup of the refinery, when we started the refinery, we hire 1 year before and we train these people. So we invest in the capabilities. We have more than 20,000 hours of training just last year for our team. So that's what we do. And why we do that? Because we are there not as a investment, short-term investment, transaction way. We are there to stay.
Yeah.
And that's our vision. So there is no way out strategy. There is no colonial view. There is integrating this ecosystem into our ecosystem. Actually, it's the other way. Integrating our ecosystem in the country ecosystem.
Yes.
So we have a global footprint. We have our global standards, but we have a local mind execution. So, and that's why you integrate. And there is people there. There is capable people there that you just need to train and invest.
How core is that to your personal purpose? Do you know, when I hear you saying, wow, 20,000 hours of training, creating hundreds, thousands of jobs, how does that feel to be the CEO of a business that does that?
It's amazing. This is my, you touch my emotions now, Ton. It's, look, I'm living in Africa for 15 years. So I think I'm much more, and I live more in Africa than I live in Brazil in my whole life. Right? So my whole life in Brazil was 13 years of my life. The rest was in neighbor countries in Latin America, and then Africa. So, and when I see where we were in 2021, when I arrived, December 2020, January 2020, when I see where we are now, it's something that I'm really proud. And I'm not proud because of what we're delivering. I'm proud of the impact that we have in the population, the impact that we have in the people. We are changing people's lives.
Yeah.
And my personal feeling is that we need to give back to those countries something. And the legacy is not only the technology that we be put in place, that we are transferring, but especially the opportunities that we give to people. And that's also where it came Coena, our social platform.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows Coena.
But actually, they will not know Coena, people who listen to this podcast. So please do give us 30 seconds
so
on that.
This is also where Coena is based. Coena is there not to promote Gemcorp. That's why we don't call Gemcorp. Coena is there to understand the social needs and to work as a social in human development in the countries and the communities that we operate. So we have projects on health, sports, education, arts, culture. It's something that it's for real. It's not the intention to promote. Is actually genuine approach with these communities. And by the way, we invested $3.5 million last year in Coena projects.
Yeah.
It's huge, the impact.
But we're still a commercial investor generating returns. And to what extent do you think that actually leads to a better outcome? Because you know what, sometimes, and certainly in Africa, it can be the case that there's aid, there's lots of development finance and other stuff that comes with strings attached or at lower return hurdles or other stuff. But to what extent does actual commercial, real activity with real investors, real returns help with development?
Look, we are investor. We are an investor operator. We need to make money.
Yeah.
If we don't have enough return, I cannot attract investment.
Yeah.
And I cannot develop. So everybody understand that. So what we do is we develop our capabilities, we deliver different solutions, but of course we have a price for it.
Yeah.
The price just need to be fit and fair. But we have a price and we have mitigations. And the good thing of our models is that we can mitigate not only the client expectations that the project will be delivered, but also the investors' needs of the returns. because we can actually mitigate the risks of the completion of execution, everything that we spoke. With that in mind, we have a very interest model and profitable, because let's be honest, it's not on our values, etc., but it doesn't need to be. There is no business a no-brainer.
Yeah, it has to exist, is the point.
It has to
because
exist,
it catalyzes more investment, more capital, and
but it's not the profit for the profit.
Yes,
it's the profit with some long-term value.
Yes,
it's not a speculative profit. It's not a short-term profit. It's not an opportunistic profit. It's a profit that creates values. But values not only for us as shareholders or as executives. Values for the communities, values for the client, values for our investors, values for our stakeholders. That's the profit that we're looking. The profit for the profit, opportunistic, it's not for us.
So let's wrap up. One more question then. What's your vision for Imbono? So over the coming decade, what's the goal? What's the mission? What do you want to achieve?
Well, look, we are operating in, let's say, essential infrastructure, right? So our purpose is to make sure and that people will get access to essential infrastructure. So the challenge is, how can we make sure that everyone will have access to water, to energy, to food, to healthcare, to education, banking systems, etc. This is the group-wide. We believe, and it's our vision, that the way we are working, the integration, the business model, we will be benefiting by 2040 more than 100 million people in emerging market.
Okay.
You see the number, it's apparently too big, but let's remember we have billions of people in the emerging market, right? So we are touching a small percentage of this population. With water, healthcare, integration, we are there. We are on this way. Today we benefit more than 12 million people with the projects that we deliver for the past decade. Okay, so we are coming into this direction. So the vision is how we integrate people, how we we bring people to the same vision, and how we incentivize people to understand that their job, regardless where they are sitting, if they're sitting in London, Geneva, Hong Kong, Dubai, Angola, DRC, South Africa, United States, they need to understand that every single one in our group is working to benefit these people. Of course, that profit is needed, right? How I'm going to deliver. So the vision is to integrate this all orchestra that they have, and not only Imbono, the whole Gemcorp Capital, our invested companies, to have this view, to engage in this vision and this guidance. And then I'm sure that we will be there. Nothing's impossible when we have our team there. We deliver a refinery in Cabinda, the only one built in after independence in the country. Nobody believed it. It's there.
So we've done the impossible before, and now we're gonna do it again. So Marcus, that is a brilliant moment to finish on, I think. So Marcus, thank you so much for joining us today. If you want to find out more about Imbono, it's www.imbono.com, where you can learn about the business, its projects, its missions. And of course, if you want to learn about broader Gemcorp, visit www.gemcorpcapital.com. Thank you very much, Marcus.